Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha, Kodesh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Exodus, the 28th chapter, as the Lord gives the outline or blueprint to Moses concerning Aaron and his sons. And more in particular their garments that would be made for them. So this is the book of Exodus chapter 28 verse 1. And take thou unto thee Aaron thy brother and his sons with him from among the children of Israel, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office, even Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. And can take a look at a couple of these names here. But as you can see, the Lord at this point is explicitly telling Moses, right, that Aaron and his lineage would be separated to perform the office of the priests, okay, to him. So let's go in here. Let's take a look at the name Aaron. We'll also look at his sons, Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. So here we have Aaron, Aharwan, Aaron, light bringer, okay, or bringer of light. We also have here his son Nadab, which that's, pretty much right in the Hebrew, Nadab. Here we have generous, the eldest son of Aaron. And then we have Abihu, right, which is Abaya Hawa. Okay, Abaya Hawa. And you do see the Yahweh or Yahweh here. But when you go into the name, they have it as, when you go to the root words of it, you have Abba here. The Yah would be a suffix for Abba rather than a prefix for the subsequent part of it. So you have the Abba Yah, my father, and then Hawa, which is a part of the name of the Lord, but it means here he is, right? Or there's nothing really more you can add to it, all right? Just like is, okay? So that's why, for example, when the Lord told Moses his name, he said that when you tell the children of Israel who I am, just tell them Yahweh sent you, right? He is. So yeah, that's pretty much what it goes into in here. Let me see what else. Yep. So when we go back to it, it says here, he is my father. We have his other son, Eleazar, right? Allah Zar. And you have the God has helped, right? Because you have the Allah, which is God. And then you have the Izar in Hebrew, which means help. If you have the root words over here. And then lastly, you have Ithamar, Ayathamar, which is here they have coast of palms. So those are the sons of Aaron there, as the Lord commands Moses to bring Aaron and his sons. They will be separated for this office. And thou shalt make holy garments for Aaron thy brother, for glory and for beauty. So these garments would be specifically made for them, right? And it would be beauty or beautiful and glorious garments. And thou shalt speak unto all that are wise-hearted, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom. Now, when you go into the word here for wise-hearted, the Lord is really referring to those that are skillful in work. All right, we have here chakama, which is wise, but you also have skillful in technical work or learned, and that's really who the Lord is referring to here. So all those that were who he had put the spirit on. It says here that they may make Aaron's garments to consecrate him. that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. Because the ability to embroid or to weave or to sew or to, design and to engrave, all of those things, it's not just, you don't just pick up a stylus or a needle and, just get straight to work. You gotta one, learn how to do it, but you also have to be good at it, which comes with time. So there were those in the congregation that had that skill, and so the Lord told Aaron, basically those would be the ones in charge of making this garment, right? The best of the best in there. As it says here, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom, that they may make Aaron's garments to consecrate him, right? So to sanctify him, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. And these are the garments which they shall make: a breastplate, and an ephod, and a robe, and a broidered coat, a mitre, and a girdle. And these, I ended up looking, I found a image here, which is once again a depiction that can make it easier to visualize. And so, starting with the what was mentioned here, a breastplate, and the breastplate was this chest piece right here, this part right there. I think another image that I found was here, the breastplate, and that's what holds the Urim and the Thummim, as well as the stones representing the different tribes. So you have the breastplate, which is this part, and then you have the ephod, which is this part right here. Okay, let me see if it looks better on here. Yeah, you could say that. So it's the layer that is on top of the robe. Okay, that's the ephod. That little multicolored apron kind of looking thing, right? So that's the ephod. And then the robe, which is what was worn under this blue one right here, and a broidered coat, which was under the robe, and that's where you see the bottom of it down here. And when you go into that word coat, it's really just this, a different layer of a garment. So let's go into it and take a look. Whoa, did I miss it? There you go. Right, a tunic or undergarment, right? A long shirt-like garment, usually of linen. So that's all the way at the one of the base layers. And a mitre, which is that like a turban, but that's that headpiece. Where is it here? And a girdle, and that is this middle belt / sash looking part. So overall, these were the pieces that Aaron's garment would consist of. And they shall make holy garments for Aaron thy brother and his sons, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office. And they shall take gold and blue and purple and scarlet and fine linen. And they shall make the ephod of gold, of blue, so these are the colors, of blue and of purple, of scarlet, and fine twined linen with cunning work. So that's the material that the ephod will be made of. It shall have 2 shoulder pieces thereof, joined at the 2 edges thereof, so it shall be joined together. So when you take a look here, that's this part right here, the shoulder pieces, so that you can have, the front side goes on the front and then the back side hangs on the back part, but is joined at the shoulders. Verse 8, and the curious girdle of the ephod, and the word curious there is more so like decorative, right, or intricately designed. So the curious girdle of the ephod, which is the part that, binds it together, looks this part right here, according to the same work thereof, even of gold, of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen. So you'd use the same material and the same colors to make that part. And thou shalt take 2 onyx stones and engrave on them the names of the children of Israel. So those stones, you would actually, the two of them would have the actual names of each tribe inscribed into it. 6 of their names on one stone, and the other 6 names on of the rest on the other stone, according to their birth. So it would be in the order from eldest to youngest, going back to their forefathers or patriarchs. And remember that Jacob had claimed Ephraim and Manasseh to be like unto his sons. So they would also, their names would be in there as well. With the work of an engraver of in stone, like the engravings of a signet. Now, a signet looks something like this. Let's do signet on ring, not on ring finger. So it looks something like this, or even like that. It's basically, say like the ring, and it has the design in it, very intricate. It almost kind of functions like a signature as well. So usually when you have a message or a letter, and you had this like clay-ish like substance that seals, it's called the seal, that seals the letter, it would be signified or it would have the signet pressed, right, that design pressed into it to prove that this is an official letter or this came from an official source. Okay. And so what the Lord is saying is basically when you engrave the names of the tribes, engrave it like how a signet is engraved, right, to represent whatever design it is that is used. Thou shalt engrave the 2 stones with the names of the children of Israel. Thou shalt make them to be set in ouches of gold. And let's look into that word ouches. Plated or filigree or checkered work. And I looked up here filigree, and it's basically like, for example, when you have stones, you can create even rings, right? Ring designs are a type of it where you can create different designs to hold the stone, right? So you'll see here, these are just multiple different kinds of designs, right? Like this right here, this is a particular design, but it holds within it is a space for a stone in there. This is another example, right? So there are many different designs you can do for it. But it's just like a place or a holder for the stones. And that's where the Lord said you would place those 2 stones. And thou shalt put the 2 stones upon the shoulders of the ephod for stones of memorial unto the children of Israel. And Aaron shall bear their names before the Lord Yahweh upon his 2 shoulders for a memorial. So when we go back, that'll be this part right here. Those 2 stones would be in here, in the shoulder part. Verse 13, and thou shalt make ouches of gold, which once again goes into that filigree, and 2 chains of pure gold at the ends. Of wreathen work shalt thou make them. So when it says chains, it's not like metal chains. It's referring to, a chain-like design or cords. That's why it mentions of wreathen work. Okay, so it's like the same similar material to what the other parts of the garment would be. I imagine something like the word's escaping me right now, but it's like it can be used to say tie one part of the garment to another. So as it says, of wreathen work shalt thou make them, and fasten the wreathen chains to the ouches. So you're gonna have the little cords. I'm trying to see if there's a better image or depiction of it, but none really go into too much detail. But in any case, this is to connect the ouches to the shoulders of the ephod. And as it says here in verse 15, and thou shalt make the breastplate of judgment with cunning work. After the work of the ephod thou shalt make it of gold, of blue, and of purple, and of scarlet, and of fine twined linen shalt thou make it. So now this is going into the actual breastplate, which is the centerpiece right here. 4 square it shall be, being doubled. So it's going to be in a square shape, and it's going to be of the same material folded in half, so it'll be thicker. A span shall be the length thereof, and a span shall be the breadth thereof. And thou shalt set in it settings of stones, even 4 rows of stones. The first row shall be a sardius, a topaz, and a carbuncle. This shall be the first row. So 4 rows, each row contains 3 columns of 3 stones. And that's why you see it like this. So there was spaces made in the breastplate designed in a way where it can hold the different stones in each row. And the second row shall be an emerald, a sapphire, and a diamond. And the third row a ligure, an agate, and an amethyst. And the fourth row a beryl, and an onyx, and a jasper. They shall be set in gold in their enclosings. And the stones shall be with the names of the children of Israel, 12 according to their names, like the engravings of a signet. So those stones would have the names of the 12 tribes engraved into it. Every one with his name shall be according to the 12 tribes. And thou shalt make upon the breastplate chains at the ends of wreathen work of pure gold. And thou shalt make upon the breastplate 2 rings of gold, and shalt put the 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. So now it's going into this part right here. And I think it's a bit more visible here. But in any case, it's 2 rings here, these corners over here. And the wreathen work would connect the top of the breastplate to the shoulder piece of the ephod. And this way you could fasten the breastplate on top of the ephod, so it would stay on the ephod, right? By using the chains of wreathen work hooked into the rings, and then fastening it to the shoulders of the ephod. It says here, verse 24. And thou shalt put the 2 wreathen chains of gold in the 2 rings which are on the ends of the breastplate, and the other 2 ends of the 2 wreathen chains thou shalt fasten in the 2 ouches, which was the filigree at the shoulders, and put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod before it. So it's basically just going to be a hook on a ring on the breastplate, and then the chains, which is just like the cords, can go through that and tie, right? That's why you see this little part right here. So it connects the breastplate to the ephod. Verse 25. And the other 2 ends of the 2 wreathen chain. Oh, okay, I think I just read that. Verse 26. And thou shalt make 2 rings of gold, and thou shalt put them upon the 2 ends of the breastplate in the border thereof, which is in the side of the ephod inward. So now you're going to have a total of 4 rings of gold, 2 on the top ends of the breastplate, and 2 on the bottom ends of the breastplate. And 2 other rings of gold thou shalt make, and shalt put them on the 2 sides of the ephod, underneath, toward the fore part thereof. So you have 2 at the bottom of the breastplate, and 2 at the sides of the ephod underneath, okay? As it says, over against the other coupling thereof, above the curious girdle of the ephod. So if we go back here, the girdle is this, the waist, the part, let's just call it like the belt. So they were to make 2, what did it say, rings on the ephod, and then 2 on the bottom of the breastplate. And that way you could then use the chains to once again tie the breastplate to the ephod. So it's just not just hanging by the top two. And then with this, you can adjust it, you can tighten it, right? You can loosen it, and then it'll be like the breastplate is attached to the chest or the top part slash torso of the ephod, even though they're separate pieces. And they shall bind the breastplate by the rings thereof onto the rings of the ephod with a lace of blue, that it may be above the curious girdle of the ephod. So it's going to be on the chest slash torso area above the waist, because that's where the girdle was. And that the breastplate be not loosed from the ephod. So that's why you you would tie it at the top and you would tie it at the bottom, so that it's not loose and it's attached. It's sticking to the ephod. And Aaron shall bear the names of the children of Israel in the breastplate of judgment upon his heart, when he goeth in unto the holy place for a memorial before the Lord continually. And remember, the holy place was in the tabernacle, right? So whenever he's performing that service, he would go in there and he would bear the names of the tribes on his chest in that breastplate. Verse 30, and thou shalt put in the breastplate of judgment the Urim and the Thummim. And those were special stones that were used to decide the judgment of the Lord. He would speak using that, and they knew and understood how to read it in order to understand what the Lord's will was. And they shall be upon Aaron's heart when he goeth in before the Lord Yahweh. And Aaron shall bear the judgment of the children of Israel upon his heart before the Lord continually. So the Urim and the Thummim are likened unto the judgment of the children of Israel. This is in the sense of he would bear the means or devices by which you would be able to tell what the decision or the judgment of the Lord is concerning the children of Israel. Because this is just referring to the Urim and the Thummim, because these were stones used to determine the judgment of the Lord, right? When they went to inquire something at the Lord's mouth, they would ask, and then the priest would be able to use the Urim and the Thummim to decipher what is the Lord saying. Is he saying yes? Is he saying no? X, Y, and Z. But not that, say, the children of Israel would sin and then Aaron will get judged for it. Verse 31, and thou shalt make the robe of the ephod all of blue. So we have the ephod, you have the breastplate, right? You have the shoulder pieces, you have the girdle, and then you have the robe, which is why you see it all blue here. And there shall be a hole in the top of it in the midst thereof. And this hole is representing the head or the neck hole, basically where you would be able to put your head through. Because remember, a garment is really just a long piece of whatever material it is, linen or whatnot. So you need to cut out a hole. If you've ever made a garment, you need to cut out a hole in the middle so that you can actually fit your head through, and then it would go over your body. So here, the Lord says, make a hole at the top of it in the midst thereof. It shall have a binding of woven work round about the whole of it, as it were the whole of an harbingin, that it be not rent. And a harbingin is like armor. But it's saying that the Lord said that basically, make like a collar, right, or binding around the hole where his head would be through, so that it doesn't rip, right? It doesn't like tear or rip as, over time as you keep on wearing it and taking it off and so on. Verse 33, and beneath upon the hem, so now at the bottom, the skirt of the robe of it, thou shalt make pomegranates of blue and of purple and of scarlet. This isn't like real pomegranates. It's the design of pomegranates, right? So if we take a look here, that's why you see what looks like the little blue, things hanging off the hem of the garment. Round about the hem thereof, and bells of gold between them round about. A gold bell and a pomegranate. a gold bell, and a pomegranate upon the hem of the robe round about. So that's going to be the pattern. You have the gold bell, then the pomegranate, and the gold bell, and the pomegranate. You can also see it in here as well. Verse 35, and it shall be upon Aaron to minister, and his sound shall be heard when he goeth in unto the holy place before the Lord Yahweh, and when he cometh out, that he die not. So it is you can see how the service of the priests it wasn't just something you just do out of routine. You had each and every time you had to be very attentive, not to forget, not to miss, not to transgress, because here Aaron could die if he doesn't follow these specific instructions when he comes to minister before the Lord. Meaning those bells need to be on there so it can be heard that he's coming into the holy place, or when he's leaving. And thou shalt make a plate of pure gold, and engrave upon it like the engravings of a signet. So you're gonna basically carve into it holiness to the Lord. Okay, and this would go upon the mitre, or the headpiece of Aaron's garment. And thou shalt put it on a blue lace, that it may be upon the mitre, upon the forefront of the mitre it shall be. So like the forehead area. So when you look at it, that's why you have the design like this. Another one has it like this, and the mitre is that headpiece. And it's possible that it might have had an opening at the top, or not, right? But in any case, that was a part of the headpiece of Aaron's garment. And it shall be upon Aaron's forehead, that Aaron may bear the iniquity of the holy things, which the children of Israel shall hallow in all their holy gifts. And it shall be always upon his forehead, that they may be accepted before the Lord Yahweh. And I'll read this in the NLT as well. Aaron must wear it on his forehead, so that he may take on himself any guilt of the people of Israel when they consecrate their sacred offerings. He must always wear it on his forehead, so the Lord will accept the people. So Aaron had a very important role to play. Where we at? Verse 39, and thou shalt embroider the coat of fine linen, and thou shalt make the mitre of fine linen, and thou shalt make the girdle of needlework. So it'll be, sewed. And for Aaron's sons thou shalt make coats, and thou shalt make for them girdles and bonnets, shalt thou make for them for glory and for beauty. So you're also going to make beautiful, glorious garments and headpieces for them as well. And thou shalt put on them, or put them upon Aaron thy brother, that's the garments, and his sons with him. And thou shalt anoint them, and consecrate them, and sanctify them, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office. So you'll see, even as we keep reading, that the initiation, right, the initial consecration of Aaron and his sons to be, right, these priests before the Lord, it was a whole ritual. And that's why not just anybody could just up and go and try to perform the ordinance of a priest. For that period for how the Lord set it up, you had to be of that line, because they were specifically consecrated for that role. Verse 42, and thou shalt make them linen breeches to cover their nakedness. So basically, this would be like shorts that they would wear under their coat, or under their tunic, like how you have underwear today, from the loins even onto the thighs. So that's the waist onto your thighs, they shall reach. And this would, so that once again, if you just have nothing under that tunic, that long garment, all it takes is a misstep, a slip, or a strong wind, and now there are unpleasant things happening. So the Lord was like, yeah, definitely not while you're doing my work. So when you go into that breeches, it's underwear, right? Drawers, trousers, but this isn't all the way down. A priestly undergarment of linen. It says here, and they shall be upon Aaron and upon his sons when they come in onto the tabernacle of the congregation. or when they come near unto the altar to minister in the holy place. And minister just means to serve, right? So if they're performing a sacrifice or whatever it is they're doing, that they bear not iniquity and die, it shall be a statute forever unto him and his seed after him. Because remember, it's also the very reason why the Lord said, don't build steps for his altar, so that their nakedness is not seen when they come to minister before the Lord. So he reinforced that by saying, in addition, make them some shorts, some underwear, so that their nakedness is not seen when they come to serve the Lord. And that brings us to the end of the book of Exodus, the 28th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham, Recha Kodesh. Until next time, Shalom.